Hey everyone, today we are going to look at three-step equations solving for that variable. So we have 3 steps. The first step is to get rid of the smaller term with the variable from both sides of the equation. You're going to do this for most of all of them. So you're going to find that smaller term and do addition or subtraction to get it to the other side of the equation. The next step, number 2, is to add or subtract from both sides. So those whole numbers that you have, you're going to try and get them onto the opposite side of your variable. The third step is you're going to multiply or divide. You solve it like you should, like any regular 1-step or 2-step problem that you've done this past week. Okay, so I'm going to put down an example. I have 6x plus 10 equals 2x plus 18. All right, so I'm going to first off draw that line separating my two sides of my equal sign. The smaller term with a variable is my 2x. 2 is definitely smaller than the 6x. So I'm going to move that one first, and I'm going to move it by doing the opposite. So I'm going to subtract to the other side. And I'm left with 4x plus 10 equals 18. And this is a 2-step problem now. We did those this past week for multiple days. So minus the 10. Okay, because now I want to get that 4x by itself, so I'm minusing the 10. I now have 4x equals 8, and it's a 1-step equation, so I divide because 4 and x are multiplying with each other. Alrighty, and now I have x by itself, and x equals 2 after I divide. All right, so we're going to do another one like this. Notice how we moved our smaller term first, the 2x, to the other side, and it became a 2-step equation. So we add or subtracted it. That was step 2. And then we multiply or divide for step 3. So our next problem is 2a minus 5 equals 10 minus 3a. All right, I'm going to separate with a line down my equal sign. Now, if I look at my a's, I have a 2a and I have a minus 3a, or a negative 3a. So this negative 3a is technically smaller than a positive 2. So I'm going to add 3a to the other side. I want to move that smaller term. My a's cancel. 2 plus 3 will give me 5a minus 5 equals 10. Okay, and I'm at a 2-step equation. So my next step is to add or subtract. So I'm going to take this minus 5. I'm going to do the opposite and add 5. So I have 5a equals 15. Okay, I'm going to take that 5 and divide because it's multiplying times a. So a equals 3. Now, sometimes you might not get a whole number. It's okay to get a decimal or a fraction as an answer. All right, if you want to double, triple check, you can always go plug it back in to where that letter, that variable is, and see if you did it correctly. Now, I'll do one more. Let's see. So 4a plus 7 equals 10 plus a. All right, if I'm looking, I have a 4a, and this a by itself, remember there is a 1 in front of it. So I'm going to subtract 1a from both sides because it is the smaller term. 4 minus 1 is 3a plus 7 equals 10. Okay, let me draw my line a little bigger there. I'm going to minus 7 to both sides because that's my next step. They cancel. 3a equals 3. The 3 and the a are multiplying, so divide by 3. On both sides, a equals 1. All right, let's get you to do one. So try this one. 6x minus 3 equals negative 18 plus x. All right, so I want you to try and solve this one on your own. Remember, there is a 1 in front of that x. Okay, pause it and then come back to me, and we'll see if you got it right. Pause now. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you got this solved. If you ran into problems, see where you ran into problems. I'm going to start with this plus 1x. So the opposite is to minus 1. I'm starting here because it is smaller term than that 6x. So those cancel. 6x minus 1x gives me 5x. I'm bringing down my minus 3, and I'm bringing down my 18. Be sure you bring that negative with it. Alrighty, the opposite of subtracting 3 is to add 3. And I'm going to bring down my 5x that's left over. Now, a lot of people would say that this is 21, okay? But it's negative 18 plus 3. You have to subtract because they're both different. One's a positive and one's a negative. So I really get negative 15 as my answer. You can put it in a calculator to make sure. I'm going to divide by 5. And x equals negative 3. Okay. I hope you got that one right. If you went wrong, where did you go wrong? And fix it. Okay. Now, the next two problems are a little bit, just a tiny bit written differently. So 7a minus 5 equals 2a. And that's it. Okay. We have a variable on both sides, but we don't have an extra number on the right-hand side. Okay, there's nothing over here that's like a plus something or minus this. Okay, we don't have that. So let me erase this circle. What we're going to do is our first step is going to be a little bit different. Our first step is usually to take the smaller term, like the 2a, and subtract it to the other side. If I do that, it will leave me with 0 on the right-hand side, and I don't want that. So on ones that look like these, I'm actually going to take that larger term and I'm going to move it to the right-hand side. So I'm moving my 7a by subtracting it. I'm left with negative 5 equals negative 5a. So 2 minus 7 gives me a negative 5. So now I'm going to divide by negative 5. It's really important that I keep that negative sign with it. So I have negative 5 divided by negative 5, and I get a 1. So same steps, basically. It does look a little different. We'll do another one. So we have 8x plus 3 equals 2x. All right, so same kind of scenario. I've got to actually move my 8x first. That way I'm not left with 0 on one side of my equation. So I'm going to subtract 8x. That is a positive 8x. The opposite is to subtract, or negative 8x. So I'm left with 3 equals negative 6x. All right, 6x, they're multiplying, and now I have to divide. So divide by negative 6. This leaves me with a fraction, or even as a decimal as an answer. I will take negative 1/2 or negative 0.5. Okay. I really like negative 0.5, but negative 1/2 is also correct. So it's okay to get a decimal as an answer. All right, I hope this helps. If you still have questions, you know how to get a hold of us.